Chapter 1 of Yollop. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Yollop by George Barr McCutcheon. Chapter 1. In the first place, Mr. Yollop knew nothing about firearms, and so, after he had overpowered the burglar and relieved him of a fully loaded .38, he was singularly unimpressed by the following tribute from the bewildered and somewhat exasperated captive.
"Say, ain't you got any more sense than to tackle a man with a gun, you chuckle-headed idiot?"
Only he did not say chuckle-headed, and he inserted several expletives between say and ain't. The dazed intruder was hunched limply, in a sitting posture, over against the wall, one hand clamped tightly to his jaw, the other being elevated in obedience to a command that had to be thrice repeated before it found lodgment in his whirling brain. Mr. Yollop, who seemed to be satisfied with the holding up of but one hand, cupped his own hand at the back of one ear, and demanded querulously,
"What say?
"Are you hard of hearing?"
Eh?
"Well, for the say, are you deef?"
Don't say deef, say deaf, as if it were spelled EEFF. Yes, I am a little hard of hearing."
"Now how the hell did you hear, I say, how did you hear me in the room, if it's a fair question?"
"If you've got anything in your mouth, spit it out. I can't make out half what you say. Sounds like olo, olo, olo."
The thief opened his mouth, and with his tongue instituted a visible search for the obstruction that appeared to annoy Mr. Yollop.
"They're all here except the one I had pulled last year,"
he announced, vastly relieved. A sharp spasm of pain in his jaw caused him to abruptly take advantage of a recent discovery, and while he was careful to couch his opinions in an undertone, he told Mr. Yollop what he thought of him in terms that would have put the hardiest pirate to blush. Something in Mr. Yollop's eye, however, and the fidgety way in which he was fingering the trigger of the pistol, moved him to interrupt a particularly satisfying paean of blasphemy by breaking off short in the very middle of it to wonder why in God's name he hadn't had sense enough to remember that all deaf people are lip-readers.
"Spit it out,"
repeated Mr. Yollop with energy.
"Don't talk with your mouth full. I can't understand a word you say."
This was reassuring but not convincing. There was still the ominous glitter in the speaker's eye to be reckoned with. The man on the floor took the precaution to explain.
"I hope you didn't hear what I was callin' myself."
He spoke loudly and very distinctly.
"That's better,"
said Mr. Yollop, his face brightening.
"I was afraid my hearing had got worse without my knowing it. All you have to do is to enunciate distinctly, and speak slowly like that, as if you were isolating the words, so to speak, and I can make out everything you say. What were you calling yourself?"
"Oh, just a lot of names. I'd sooner not repeat 'em if there's any women in the house."
"Well, bless my soul, that's uncommonly thoughtful of you. My sister and her young daughter are here to spend the holidays with me. They sleep at the back of the apartment. Now, if you will just remain as you are, I dare say you better put up that other hand too, if you can spare it. I will back up to the table here and get my listening apparatus. Now, you won't have to shout so. I don't know much about revolvers, but I assume that all one has to do to make it go off is to press rather firmly on this little contrivance."
"Yes, but don't."
"Not so loud, not so loud. I'm not as deaf as all that. And don't move. I give you fair warning. Watch me closely. If you see my eyes shut, you will know I'm going to shoot. Remember that, will you? The instant you detect the slightest indication that my eyes are about to close, dodge."
"By thunder, I wonder if you're as much of a blame fool as you seem to be, or are you just playing horse with me?"
muttered the victim as he raised his other hand.
"I'd give 10 years of my life to know."
"I won't be a second,"
announced Mr. Yollop, backing gingerly toward the table. With his free hand he felt for and found the rather elaborate contraption that furnished him with the means to counteract his auricular deficiencies. The hand holding the revolver wobbled a bit. Nevertheless, the little black hole, at which the dazed robber stared as if fascinated, was amazingly steadfast in its regard for the second or perhaps the third button of his coat.
"It's a rather complicated arrangement," he went on to explain, "but very simple once you get it adjusted to the ear. It took me some time to get used to wearing this steel band over the top of my head. I never have tried to put it on with one hand before. Amazing how awkward one can be with his left hand, isn't it? Now, you see how it goes. This little receiver business clamps right down to the ear, so. Then this disc hangs over my chest, and you
Sample complete. Ready to continue?